A following program are not necessarily those of KSCO staff, management, or advertisers. If something is said with which you disagree, please let us know by writing to us at comments@ksco.com.
In my life, there came a time when I had to make a change. You know, the things just weren't right. I looked around for someone else to blame. I searched and I reached out inside. Knew I can be free. I can be free. I can rise above. I can be free. I can be free. I will rise above. When you're all alone.
Good afternoon, everybody. This is Dr. Duncan McCollum coming to you from KSCO radio right here in the heart of Santa Cruz. And it's a beautiful day to be in Santa Cruz and a beautiful day to be talking to y'all. So today is kind of a special day in many ways for you, for me, for everybody, because we are here on this planet and we can make a choice to make a difference in our lives. And I really wanted to talk about some of the things that I've seen going on with patients and with people out there in general. You know, this comes on the tail end of a very dear friend of mine's son passing away unexpectedly in his mid-20s. And, you know, it's a very, very sad thing because we all could have done more to help him, but we are all busy doing what we need to do in our lives, and it's very sad. And it's one of those things that you have to take take it as a lesson, because there were so many people that were at his service that were wishing that they would have tried a little bit harder. And, you know, a lot of times it comes down to you trying to help yourself too. So in this last couple weeks, since this all transpired, I also have seen several patients, new patients, come into my office for hope. And a lot of times what I get from people is that they just don't want to invest in themselves. And it's really kind of a sad thing because, you know, a lot of times people feel like they're not worth spending the money on themselves, or their family members might say, go for it, but they just don't want to put the imposition on the family. It might be financial, it might be the effort that it would take, it might be that you've tried so many other things that haven't worked that you just don't want to try one more thing. But I was walking on the beach today with my daughter, and we're having a good time throwing the ball for the dog and talking about, you know, um, her life. She's about to, I'm going to be a grandfather, let me put it that way. And it's great to see her starting her new life and starting to find these new issues to put up with and have to find solutions for with her husband or the father of her child. So today, I really want you all to take an assessment of where you're at and decide whether you're doing as well as you want to be. And this might be financially, it might be health-wise, it might be in relationships with your friends and family. And, you know, it's one of those things where tomorrow might be too late. I have patients that come in for peripheral neuropathy issues. And that is one of the biggest, it's one of the scariest things for me, because with that type of, and I'm talking about a couple particular patients that, have this kind of thing developing and they're fairly far along. This does not turn around by itself. And there are solutions. We've helped a lot of people, but I can just see when we go over the amount of effort, time, what they have to put in to get this handled, they just sometimes don't feel like they're worth it, or they don't feel like they can do it, or they don't trust that we can help them. But when they leave without doing anything, I feel like I didn't do a good enough job on letting them know that something can be done about it. And that's, that's one of those things you just have to live with yourself, because when people walk away from you, and hopefully they're going to take what they need to learn how to move forward in their life. You know, um, we're all human beings on this planet, and listening to Michael's Whirling show right at the end, they're talking about, the people that lie or don't lie, or we all have um, we have uncertainties in our lives, and we have certainties in our lives. And the one thing I can tell you is, it's going to change. Things change, your life changes, your health changes, and you know that as well as I. But we resist change so often that if a ball's slowly rolling down the hill and you don't see it fast enough, the change is going to come, and it may be too late for you to do anything about it, especially with your health. We live in a time where the possibility of changing our healthcare system in this country is huge. And a lot of things that are coming to the surface, many people have been talking about for a long time. However, the masses have not done anything because they are so busy in their lives, working, raising a family or not, having a job or not, that trying to think outside of that box is so difficult for them that they just keep going, even though it's a dead end street. And, my goal for any of you all out there, including myself, is to be able to unlearn what you've already know so that you can learn again. And sometimes the hardest thing is to already know everything about something. I've had patients come in that have gone to chiropractors before, and they go, "Oh no, I'm not going to have chiropractic because they adjust like this and it hurts." And well, you know what? There's about 250 different techniques out there. And, any chiropractor that's been around in a while probably has 150 in their tool belt because of the different people that need different things. It's not one size fits all as far as chiropractic adjustments go. But also, when we take a look at what's going on with chronic inflammation right now, in the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000, 2010, and 20s now, our health has gotten dramatically worse every decade, to a point where chronic inflammation is affecting well more than half of the people in our country. Diabetes is huge. It's over 60% of us are diabetic or pre-diabetic. Thyroid disorders are 30 million plus people. Peripheral neuropathy, 25 million have been diagnosed with it. So do you just keep putting one foot in front of the other, moving forward until there's just nowhere to go, nothing left to do? Or do you go, all right, it's time to make a change. It's time to do something. The sung by Tony Lindsay, written by my dear friend Steve Funderburg, talks about you can be free, and you can be free, but it's not walking the same path you're walking. Maybe very few people are becoming free on that path. I would challenge many to look at it and go, if I don't change anything other than just go along with the passing of time, am I going to be better off in a year, health-wise, financially, friendship-wise, family-wise? Or am I just like watching the driftwood flow down the river, going with the flow of the water and gravity, So when things that happen, a lot of times we look at them with deadened eyes and we don't really look at what is really there, and we don't make the changes or decisions based on that. So, I just want to challenge everybody today to take a look at your life and go, where can I change it? And maybe it's not you, maybe it's somebody you know. Who do you know that needs help? It's so easy for us to just not have time for our friends and family. And oftentimes you get to a point where it's too late. And then what do? You say, well, next time it won't be. I'm as guilty as everybody out there on this matter. But when I come here and talk to y'all on the end of this microphone, I'm telling you my stories, my bleeding hearts, things that I could have done different. I have patients come in that have been in pain for 50 years, and they have tried almost everything or everything as far as they're concerned, but they haven't been into our office yet. And we have equipment that nobody else in town has. We have the softwave therapy machine, and to couple that with the highest quality lasers available, which help work on the mitochondria, which is the energy department of the cell, as well as this softwave therapy that drives new stem cells into the area. And then the laser will ignite those cells. So it's kind of like you have a bunch of firewood, you put it on the fire, but you don't have any way to light the fire. So the firewood would be the stem cells that this machine puts into the area of application. The lasers are like the light or the match that lights the firewood so it can burn and create new changes in your body and new growth. We have so many toxins in our environment. The food we eat, they're trying to get rid of the toxins in the food. Bobby Kennedy has got a big job ahead of him. He's dealing with major industry that is rolling along like a big boulder rolling downhill, and there's an ant trying to stop that boulder. And I believe he's making some progress, which is great. So we should all embrace what he's doing, pay attention to what he's doing, and support what he's doing. Because for, the last almost 100 years, actually over 100 years, with the onset of allopathy or Western medicine, it's been an industry designed to make money off of people being sick. And the best way to really look at that is say, if this industry is made off of getting people well, wouldn't we be the wellest country in the world? Because we spend more than any other country on health. We have more drugs than any other country in the world. So in 100+ years, shouldn't we have already figured it out so that we are the healthiest country in the world? No, we're the sickest country in the world. So that ought to tell you that the systems in place are not designed to get you well, but they are there to keep you sick so they can make a profit off of you. Now, that is something that would seem to make sense. However, I believe that 80% of the people, and that's just a number I'm throwing out, could be told that and look blankly at you as they reach into their medicine cabinet. And prove me wrong, please. I would love to know that that's not the case. But how many people, 60% are pre-diabetic or diabetic, are on different medications that they've created to keep you there? They're not fixing anything. They're just keeping you on a slow boat downhill until there's nothing left. And life is not that terrible that you should let that happen. Life can be amazing. And you just have to decide you're worth it. Put a little bit of effort in. You're not going to reinvent the wheel. You don't have time in your life to figure out everything about, the human body and the cell and the 75 trillion cells you have in your body and how each of them does 60 million things a minute, all controlled by the brain and the hormones. You can't have time to do that. If you do, you'd be in healthcare yourself. But I've studied that for 35, 40 years. And, today I'm studying today. Every week I'm on calls with some of the greatest natural scientists and healthcare people in the world. And we're talking about new treatments for turning around chronic disease and more. And, there's about 30 people on my call with some of these amazing, amazing doctors. And you can just ask my staff, I'm always bringing in something like scorpion venom to try, or stem regen to help rebuild the stem cells in our body at the same time we're using our stem cell machine and the light therapy machine we have. But none of it matters if you're not willing to make a change. And I'm thinking of one particular person who's in the health industry and has pretty advanced neuropathy and also low back pain, which is more, hey, this hurts, this is an inconvenience, but it's difficult for that person to drive the car, to feel the gas pedals and the brake pedal. And I know we've had several people come in with this, with peripheral neuropathy, and we've helped them quite a bit. We'll never make it perfect, but if we can slow down, turn it around, and get your life back to where you can enjoy it. We have one woman that rides centennial horseback riding, 100-mile rides, 75, 50, 25-mile rides. And she was unable to do it because of her feet. She's now doing it routinely. She's on what we call a maintenance program, because once those nerves get that bad, there is no instant cure. It's like changing the oil in your car once and thinking you never need to change it again, or vacuuming your house once. You need to maintain what you appreciate. So if you appreciate your body, you need to maintain it. And but as I was first at breakfast and then walking on the beach with my daughter, we were talking about patience, and I'm going to tell you what happened. I just found this out this morning. Somebody that I know really well in the healthcare field was having some issues and ended up undoubtedly being on some kind of medication. And the effects of what happened to her are pretty devastating. She kind of brought it on herself, but if there's an alternative that is more natural, more healthy, then I recommend you look into it. So that's that. I'm going to give myself a quick commercial break here. This is Dr. Duncan McCollum, McCollum Family Chiropractic. I'm in Capitola Brown Ranch Shopping Mall there, next to FedEx and the Nail Place. And I've been in practice for 35 years, which, is a pretty substantial amount of time. I've treated over 20,000 patients during that time. I've looked at over almost 500,000 x-rays, which of the spine and extremities, which is more than most people. That's because that's part of my diagnosis, to see what's going on. And we do that before we do any treatment in our office, unless you're pregnant, already have them, or have had some kind of a disease that would preclude me taking x-rays. Oftentimes that might preclude what we can do for you as well. But, I've been doing this a long time, and I never stop learning. I'm always on seminars. This Thursday, my whole office is going up to a place up in Concord to spend the day learning more about how we can serve our patients better. Taking like 8 people up there with me. So that ought to be really fun. But the whole purpose of this is because, look, I've got to unlearn so much in order to learn how to help people more. I have to unlearn a lot so I can help myself more. There's been inevitable things happen where I think that I know what I'm doing, and I don't even think twice about it. I'm just walking down there with blinders on and a dazed look under my eyes, and I walk off a cliff, figuratively speaking. And then I have to retract and figure out how to get myself back or move forward into another area. But, when it comes to your health, there's only so much your body can do before getting it healthy again is going to be very difficult. And, whether it's a dietary condition, anytime you have inflammation in your body, which chronic inflammation is an epidemic in our country, chronic inflammation from the foods we eat, the toxins in our environment, heavy metals and chemicals that came down through mom's umbilical blood, stuff we put on our body, in our house, in our food, coming out of the air from jet fuel. All this stuff has to get out of our body very cleanly. And our body is either a very well-run machine with an incredible exhaust system, like a really expensive car, or it's a jalopy barely getting by, leaking stuff everywhere. And now you can kind of look at yourself in the mirror and put yourself somewhere in that line. If you look like you are not digesting food correctly, if your skin is ruddy, if you're inflamed, if you have gas or bloating after eating, if you try to walk upstairs and your heart's beating too fast or you're out of breath, these are signs that there's something that you should do. And the sooner you do it, the better. Now, you can come into our office for a complimentary consultation, or we're on, you can go on the online to McCollumWellness.com, and there's a bunch of information. Our Toxic Talk 10 is on there. There's some surveys that you can take. I've got probably 200 plus videos on Dr. Duncan McCollum YouTube that goes into so many different type of healthcare. I've got Dr. Duncan, or it's a McCollum Wellness radio podcast, over 200 podcasts. If it isn't me, get a hold of somebody and start listening to reasonable solutions for healthcare. My office is really busy. I have the best staff I've ever had, most friendly people. When you walk in the door, you'll meet Magdalena or Belle up front. And, you're just going to fall in love with these people because you can tell they're there to help you. I have Dr. Rich Gringeri, who I actually went to chiropractic school with. Amazing, kind fellow, 40 years of experience as a chiropractor, here to help. We have Dr. McLeod in the office. He is an amazing doctor, very empathetic and very knowledgeable. We have Lori and Ray on the softwave therapy machine, the stem cell machine, that are very, very versed in helping you. We also have Crystal there to work with the laser machine, the Vibe plate, and the PEMF, which is called a piezoelectromagnetic frequency machine, that actually, it's a magnetic frequency, helps increase circulation to the area that it's used on. So those are all physical things to help get your body working again. There's also the detox portion of it, which I specialize in with Dr. Dan Pompa and Dr. Jeffrey Bland, who used to work with Linus Pauling. I've been studying this for 40 years and have a pretty good grasp of what we can and can't do to help your body recover from various things. And don't wait till it's too late. You are worth it. You're worth helping yourself. Your family will tell you that. I get patients coming in with spouses or family members, and we do a really good job of evaluating, take full set of x-rays, examination, any kind of other work that we need to do to figure out what's going on, even one of our softwave therapies if need be, or a laser, to find out whether or not this is something that can help you. And then we sit down and talk to you the next day about that to see if it would make sense to do anything else with us. But no matter what, you're going to go out of there with a lot better understanding of what's going on with your health than when you walked in. The one thing that I see so often, and we try our best to have a spouse or family member come with people, because so often people just don't want to spend the money or take the time or think that they're worth it, and you've got the rest of your life to live. And if you don't take care of yourself, it's going to be a miserable future for those that are on that path of dis-ease. Dis-ease means your body is no longer at ease. If you let it go on too long, then it becomes disease. And that is something that is more difficult to turn around than a body no longer at ease. So I encourage you to find somebody to evaluate what's going on with you. There are a lot of snake oil remedies out there. There are a lot of stuff, quickies on the internet, a lot of things that have many promises. But I can tell you one thing, your health is not something to take lightly, and don't plan on something being a quick fix. There are no more quick fixes unless you have a broken bone or a cut that needs sutures. You know, when my appendix ruptured in 2021, I had to go into the hospital for 5 days, and they had to do surgery, and they put all this stuff inside me so I wouldn't get infected. And I was on antibiotics. I was not on any painkillers because I felt worse on them than you know than just feeling the pain and letting my body heal. But if it wasn't for the incredible Western medicine for emergency treatment we have in this country, I would have not been here today talking to you. So there's a time and a place for that. But we spent $4.7 trillion last year, 4.7 trillion on healthcare. And I might have this wrong, but I heard our budget is 7 trillion as a country. So 4.7 trillion, almost as much as our natural budget, or whatever they call that in politics, was spent, by the people, by the insurance companies, individuals for health. 70% of that was just to cover up symptoms, to manage dis-ease. So you know, if you're not fixing something, if you got a car that has a red engine light on and you drive it for 100,000 miles and just keep putting more oil on in every time that engine light comes on, then you're going to get what you're asking for, which is a car that's going to blow up before its time and most an inconvenient time. And hopefully it will be fixable. And if not, sayonara. So your health is the same thing. Don't wait till it's too late. People come in to see us with 70% loss of nerve function in their feet. This is not a time to wait and see what happens. This is a time where you need to do something, because the traditional medicine doesn't have an answer for you except for drugs that were used for epilepsy. And they've been black labeled for handling the symptoms of things like peripheral neuropathy. We're doing a workshop on the 23rd and 24th of this month, by the way. It's free. Wednesday, the 23rd, and Thursday evening, the 24th. So you're welcome to come to that. There's limited seating. It's McCollum Family Chiropractic in Capitola, 831-459-9990. Please call and make a reservation if you're coming. And if you want to bring somebody, maybe you need to bring somebody. Maybe there's somebody you need to bring to see this. And maybe that person needs you or somebody in their family to support them in the fact that you need to do something about this, dear loved one. It's not a waiting game, because believe me, a year later, it's not going to be better. It's going to be worse. Some people don't want to be an imposition on their family. In a year, it's going to be worse, a bigger imposition. So when are you going to do something about it? If we could turn around or stop it or reverse it and give you another 10, 15 years of function, of enjoyability, of enjoying the grandchildren and being able to take walks on the beach, like I was down there today. I saw some elderly people. I mean, I'm almost 70, but I saw some people in their late 70s walking on the cement with walkers. They're out there walking, they're out there doing it. I wonder what their infirmary is that has them on the walkers, because they didn't look that much older than me. So, where do you want to be in the next 3 to 5 years? Where do you want to be in 6 months? Anyway, I can't help but hope that you will do something before it's too late. And I encourage you to get in my office. When I was 12 years old, I fell out of a tree and broke my back. Most of you know that, but it went undiagnosed, and I became a drug addict, covering up the symptoms till I was 27 years old. And it almost killed me, because that was my life. Wake up, whether I was in pain or not, I would still take those drugs because it became such a habit, such a lifestyle, and it owned my brain. And I was in such bad shape. I couldn't even read because I'd hurt my back and I'd had dyslexia I never wanted to go to school. I couldn't focus because of the drugs. So, and I'm so lucky that somebody carried me into a chiropractor at 20. And I couldn't walk. I hadn't walked in 3 weeks. And these two guys put me in my own pickup and drove me to a local chiropractor and carried me in and held me up while he took an x-ray. And I don't even know who they are, but they cared enough about me at the time to do that. Now, that chiropractor gave me my first adjustment, and I walked out of his office, and I'd walked on my own 2 feet for the first time in 3 weeks. Now, don't get me wrong, prior to those 3 weeks, going back 8 years when I actually fell out of that tree, I'd been in pain all the time, never out of pain, just what degree based on what I could tolerate and what I put up with. Now, it took me another 7 years to actually get my body handled and to care enough about myself to do what needed to be done to get off of the drugs and to get my body fixed. When you have a broken back, then a bone that's malformed because of being crushed, it's not something that you're going to fix overnight. All the muscles and ligaments and tendons and the nerves that have been damaged need to come back. But the beautiful part is they did. It took a while, but here I am, 69 years old, walking on the beach. I have an amazing practice, awesome staff, beautiful family. And I could look at that another way. I could say all kinds of things about what's going on with my life. But we have this one thing in my office, and you're welcome to come get it. It's called vitamin G. And vitamin G is it can be the most costly vitamin in the world if you're not taking it. If you don't have an abundance of vitamin G, your life is going to go downhill quickly. So you can come get it for free. In fact, I'll give you some for free. Come to my office and ask, can I have some vitamin G? And we have bottles of it there. I bottled it myself. Vitamin G is 100% gratitude. So there's 100% gratitude in that bottle. No strings attached. And I say on the bottle, don't keep out of reach of children. You take a look at our society right now. People don't have gratitude. They think that everything's owed to them, or they're mad about something. And I look outside from this beautiful radio station and I see beautiful green sunshine, the flowers, the ice plant across the street. If I were facing the ocean, I would see Pokhran Lagoon and go, wow, this is really cool. Let's start right here today and move forward. So I'm going to do another commercial break here. I'm just doing them myself because that's what I'm doing. So this is Dr. Duncan McCollum, and I'm glad to be here today at KSCO. I appreciate Michael Zwirling and everybody, Amy, that allow this station to keep rolling. And I want to encourage you to we're doing this incredible thing right now. It's a $49 special. Now, you've heard of the $49 special for the TRT machine. Right now, we are doing it again we're throwing in acupuncture meridian spots on the hand. So we use the TRT on the hand. Every organ in your body has a meridian point in your hand. And we're going to duplicate that spot on both hands and then do the part of the body that's being affected. So it's a new program. It's working real well. If you've had a TRT already, usually we only do one introductory TRT, but we're offering it again because, there's no time like the present to get healthy. So if you haven't taken advantage of this new spring special, the $49 special, then call the office and say, look, I've been in there before. I'd like to come in and try it again. And then do that, 831-459-9990. Somebody at the office will pick up the phone. We're not there Thursday because we're going to be up at a training seminar. So my staff can learn how to better help you and take care of the people that are already coming into the office. But I'd love you to experience the softwave therapy if you haven't already, because it's a miracle. There's only 700 of these machines in the country. When I got mine, there were only 200. We've done so many treatments. I think we've done over 10,000 treatments in my office in the last 5 or 6 years. And, we've changed lives. And I want you to experience that. If you're having a joint problem, knees, they work great on knees, shoulders, low back, sciatica, hips, ankles, hands, upper backs. So if you haven't done it, give us a call. Just start there. Maybe you have a lot of other stuff going on with your body, a lot of other things that you need to fix, like your digestive system is just shot. We all have leaky gut anyway. The food that we're eating is causing our body to be inflamed. That inflammation from the leaky gut is actually causing our joints to swell up more. Those swollen joints cause pain. And there's a lot that you can do to help all that, but start with one thing. Just call the office and go, can I get in this week for the $49 TRT, softwave therapy, stem cell treatment, plus the acupuncture meridian points? So that's going through the 21st of this month. So you got a week. So you can call up if we can't get you in, as long as you schedule it before then, we will extend your visit out, but you have to call now because this is a treatment, or the cost of doing this is more than we're charging. But I want, since it's something nobody knows about, why keep it hidden when it can help so many people? So that's why we're doing this, so you can get exposed, and then you make decision to do more or not. It's, it's up to you. But beyond that, maybe you just want to come in, or maybe you just want to get on my website, McCollumWellness.com, and look at the toxic top 10 in there and see what you can do to improve your health. There's a lot of great information on there. Watch some of my other videos. Go to Dr. Duncan McCollum YouTube. There's over 200 videos on there. If you drive a lot, just get on a McCollum Wellness podcast, McCollum Wellness Radio podcast, and just start learning what I'm telling you on these shows. You can apply so much of it at home. But oftentimes you need to hear it more than once. You need to start to make it a way of life. So, to make it a way of life, you've got to start to think about and talk about what you want to bring about. So that's one reason we have the vitamin G at my office and we give it away, because so many people don't know what gratitude is. They don't understand that when you think about gratitude, it changes the chemistry in your brain and it helps the serotonin receptors operate better. It will actually reduce inflammation. When you become more grateful, your body operates better. Not by doing it once, and it can't be a fake gratuity. You have to start to appreciate the world. There's good and evil out there, no doubt. Lots of good and lots of evil. It's kind of interesting. What makes something good versus evil? Well, it depends on a lot of things, but what makes it for you, and a lot of times people feel like they're not worthy of getting healthy. They're not worthy of taking the time to get healthy, bothering somebody else to get healthy, spending the money to get healthy. This is one of those good and evil things. You deserve to be as healthy as you can be. You can always help other people. In fact, that's one thing that will build your own self-worth for yourself, is to go out and help somebody else. To serve is the greatest thing that you can do. Help somebody else. So many times I go to get food or coffee, and sometimes I look at the people that are waiting on me and go, why are they even working with people? They don't have a personable part to them. They're just rude. They look like it's an inconvenience that I walked in the store. And one of the hardest things for me to do is to be grateful for that person, or show gratitude, or be kind. I always try to. Everybody assumes a tip. Like you go in and buy coffee and you might get, just a blank look. Somebody doesn't even say hi and they expect a tip. It's an interesting thing. That's not how the world works. You get out of the world what you put into it. And oftentimes you have to put 10,000 times more into it to get one time out. So where are you going to be? You're going to be on the fence going, well, nobody gave me any, so I'm not going to do anything for them. Or are you going to be the kind of person that goes, they say about that person. He's always so helpful, always so gracious. He's always willing to help. He always has a kind word to say. Now, those things it may not seem like things come back to you, but they do, you know. And I need to work on this a lot, believe me. I'm speaking to myself on this show most of the time. I'm pretending I'm in the audience, telling myself what I need to do. And but it becomes very easy to be complacent about many things, you know, health. Oftentimes people are doing things that they know isn't in their greatest good or their greatest greatest good for them, but they do it anyway. And they become blind to it. Pretty soon you're just doing it kind of routinely without even giving a conscious thought, because you know, if you give yourself a conscious thought about it, you'll know it's not the best thing for you to do, so you just don't think about it. So, you know, this is a great time in our life right now to um, embrace change and go, okay, if it's to be, if it's going to be, it is up to me. And I'm willing to try something. I'm going to stick my baby toe in the water of gratitude. You know, I'm going to say, when I wake up in the morning, I'm going to think of one thing I'm grateful for. On my bottles of vitamin G, there's a whole recipe, but I'm going to do one thing. And then the first person I see, be it a family member, somebody you live with, like a roommate, or where you go get your coffee, or the first person you meet at work, or the cop who pulls you over because you're speeding, practice gratitude. You know, go, well, thank you very much. I'm so glad you're here. Thanks for pulling me over, officer. I wasn't even paying attention to how fast I was going. This is a good lesson for me. I'm glad you pulled me over than me hitting an animal running across the road or something. So at any rate, you know, the main purpose of me being on the radio today specifically is for you to decide that you're worth a change. It's worth it to you to spend money on yourself. It's worth it for you to take time out of your day to get yourself healthy. This one person that I'm thinking of works so hard 5 days a week, and she goes, I can't get in here. She could, our schedule would work for her. But when we did a consultation, her spouse was there, and I could see him wanting it for her, but I could see her not wanting it for herself, not believing it for herself. It's the saddest thing. And I've seen that both ways. The husband, the wife, the husband, the child, the parent. And you know, there's a couple different types of care, really. There's correction, and then there's wellness. So, and wellness care is one of those things that not a lot of people really understand, and I do my best to understand it. But, you know, only 7% of the population go to a chiropractor. I don't know if you know that or not. 7%. Now, everybody knows what it is, but only 7% go. And on any kind of routine basis anyway. But going to get an adjustment or see a chiropractor because you want to get out of pain would be like, it's great, it's better than taking a drug, but if it's just putting a quart of motor oil in the car so the red light doesn't come on, and then you go back a few months later and do it again, you're not really helping yourself. Okay, you might be out of pain for a minute, but that pain is there. Pain's your friend. That pain or symptoms there to tell you something's wrong. And if it's not going away, you better become a better listener to your body. Because, you know, a lot of times we go and go and go. We work, 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 retire. The average person who works until they retire, the average male lives for 23 months after retirement. The average woman, 28 months. And we're told to go to work, go to school, study, work hard, get a job, work hard, put away for our retirement, and don't ask questions, just keep working. And then you retire, and 23 months later, you're gone, the average person. So nobody talks about a health legacy. You know, what good is all that money if you can't enjoy your health? If you're just sitting there working till you're in your late 60s or something like that, and then or even your 50s. You know, like some of the people, the firemen and these people, you know, they get done working early, but if their body's trashed, how is that worth it? So, you know, that's where we need to be teaching a health legacy. And that's one of the things I like to try to talk about on here is don't wait till it's too late. Listen to your symptoms, especially peripheral neuropathy symptoms, because that is probably the most devastating condition based on chronic disease there is. Because almost all chronic disease down the road ends in peripheral neuropathy. It could be from diabetes, peripheral neuropathy, cancer treatment, peripheral neuropathy, severe injury to your spine, peripheral neuropathy, radiation treatment, peripheral neuropathy, Parkinson's, Huntington's chorea, you know, degenerative arthritis, gastrointestinal disease, all that stuff is inflammatory conditions that end up destroying the nerves at your toes and fingers. And, you know, you can go after those diseases, which would be like trying to plug a hole in a sinking boat. But oftentimes it's pretty hard to plug that hole if you can even find it. So many times people go to the doctor and they come in and they tell me, my blood work's normal, but I feel terrible. But the doctor says my blood work's normal, you know, and then they say it's all in your head, or they feel like that's what's being implied, but they go, I feel terrible. What's going on with my blood work? Well, you can make blood work look good and have terrible conditions going on in the tissue. And that is what we call bailing the boat out. So when you come into our office, a lot of times what we do is concentrate on bailing the boat out. In other words, let's fix the peripheral neuropathy or the pain symptoms you're having or the gastrointestinal problems. And we work to remove inflammation from the body by looking at where it's not working right and repair it. So what chiropractors do is we correct interference from communication. So you have, you know, a pinched nerve, which is a colloquial term, but we have a lack of communication from the brain down through the central nervous system, out of the spine to the 31 spinal nerves that become the peripheral nerves, going to 75 trillion cells. And there's a lack of communication. It can be a pinched, it can be scar tissue, it can be lack of blood flow to that area, could be toxicity and accumulation of chemicals from work, accumulation from chemicals from under your sink. It could be chronic disease that becomes life-threatening. But the bottom line is, you know, how do you turn this around? First thing you want to do is make sure you can get around and that you're mobile. Because if you can't move freely, then that's going to affect your brain chemistry as well. And when you start to give up hope, so much is lost. So we want to keep you thinking that your body can heal. We want to help you learn what you can do to make your body heal. We want to do our evaluation to see if what we do as chiropractors can help remove interference from the body, whether it's nerve or chemical, and give you the tools you need to turn your body around. But you know what? Don't ignore your symptoms. I see this so often that people come into our office and I know they're there because they're in pain. They come in because they're in pain. Something's going on. And if I do a good job, they will do something that I offer to help them. I know that I failed that person if they walk out and not doing something that we can do to help them. And whether they already feel like there's nothing that can be done anyway, they don't trust our office or their system or me. They don't believe their body can get well. They've been told by other people that it won't work. So they don't think they're worth it. All these different things they're really a shame because, you know, you can do anything you want. I don't care where you are in your life. You've got the ability to make anything happen if you make the decision for it to happen. Now, believe me, I know some people just can't make it happen, but I want to encourage you to do what you can to get yourself healthy, because this planet is pretty cool, and you should be out enjoying it, enjoying your family, enjoying your friends, finding out what you can do to be healthy. This is Dr. Duncan McCollum, McCollum Wellness Radio, KSCO. I've been doing this show for 5 or 6 years now. It replays Monday at 1 or 3 o'clock. So if you know anybody that needs to hear this, have them tune in at 1 o'clock. It's also, you can go to KSCO and listen to all of my shows all the way back. You can go to McCollum or Dr. Duncan McCollum YouTube, and they're all videotaped here. So this show is being videotaped on Zoom, and it will be put up on my YouTube channel, Dr. Duncan McCollum. If you want to hear it again and maybe, or watch it again, sometimes it's better to see, hear, and take notes. That's how we learn. It's also running on my Facebook channel right now. We've got a lot of stuff going up on TikTok, a McCollum Wellness Radio podcast. There's so many places to get this information. And, there's a lot of people like me out there trying to get the word out. And don't ignore them or me. Don't ignore yourself is really what it is. If you think you could be healthier, you probably could. If you think you can't be healthier, you're probably right. I forget who said this, but he said, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. And I'm sure most of you know who I'm talking about. I just can't remember it. And also, I do remember Einstein saying, doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result means you're not thinking right. So just think about it this way, though. If you don't do anything different, you're not going to change your health path. So do something different. Come in and do the $49 TRT special. We can do it on your feet, your ankles, your knees, your hips, your low back, your shoulders, your hands, your elbows, your upper back, and find out about what else we offer in the office, because the laser could help you dramatically. It's been approved for over 21 things from the FDA, millions and millions of dollars of studies had had to go in so that the FDA would take a look at these lasers and the results of them and decide to give them the clearance that we can tell you that these things work for that. That means there has to be a 30% increase in results than the placebo effect. So when we get 30% higher results doing something than placebo on a double-blind study, the FDA says, good, that's good. All right, so this is Dr. Duncan McCollum, McCollum Wellness Radio, and it's good to talk to you all out there. Call the office, come on in. Remember the peripheral neuropathy workshop that's going to be the 23rd and 24th at the office, 831-459-9990. And I'd love to sit down and talk to you to see what we can do to help. You all have a good day. Thank you.